first to send the first money to say, you know, here you have already 50,000 euro, and then give us a half year more time to get you the rest, to get you the rest of the money. And now this guy is not answering all our, like I told him, you know, do you have time on Friday morning, and we will explain you, we will share with you the proposal. And now he's not answering, and I'm feeling really like how much I fell in love with this piece of earth. Yes.
How much is missing and how much already you have?
Well, our proposal would be to pay 300,000 euro around, and we have 50,000 euro.
Mm-hmm. I
And
heard
we have
worst cases.
yeah, and it's scary for me
Yes.
to just like say I put the money out there, and my partner too, and like no money at all after this. Yeah, and so we don't have money to buy a car, for example, or gasoline for the car, or the roof tiles for the house that we want to build. And yeah, there's there are so many things that cannot come up, or that come up for me of like, oh, what if I spent this money and then the team is kind of changing its mind, and nobody wants to come and participate anymore, and I have invested this anticipation, and then with coming back, yeah. For me right now, the heaviest thing is that that I have to that I might have to leave the dream of living and being the steward of this land behind.
Because you don't have the money to fulfill the asking price.
Yeah,
Is that?
you know, the neighbor of this land is the owner of one of the biggest supermarket chains in Mexico. It's kind of like Mexican Walmart, and they also want to have the land. Yeah, so it's kind of like a land that everybody wants to have, and so the chances are low that with our proposal will go through. And yeah, I don't that the so I wrote the owner last night and this morning, and he didn't answer yet any of my messages. So I don't
And no money.
know.
No money has changed hands yet. Is that
No,
correct?
no money has changed hands yet. That's what I come to this space with.
You come with your FOMO.
Exactly.
There's no other roller coaster quite like the roller coaster of falling in love with land and looking for the money and fighting, pulling things, you know, the highs and then the crash, and it's like,
oh,
I know, yeah, I feel your pain.
And your pain is welcome in this space.
Yeah. Mm.
So I arrive here having just finalized some communication to a team of possibilitators who entered into a possible land purchase where money was lent, a substantial amount of money was lent to a buyer who needed funds quickly to make them available for a sale by auction. And it's because there were no written agreement, or there were only some written agreements, and it was quickly agreed that it wasn't a collaboration that everybody wanted. They are now struggling to find the right strategy for getting their money back, because the current owner of the property is playing games. Yeah. So this is where I've just been for the last couple of days, and I'm feeling that, and I'm hearing you, Anton, and yeah, my fear is alive of not entering into clear agreements and having everything well documented.
That's the fear that I am starting to just do it, and we're good friends, and everything's fine right now. And yeah, thank you for sharing where you come from.
And I feel glad that we've gone through the process. It's been dragging on for months, and I feel like we finally have a very clear case and are ready to play the modern culture legal game if it needs to be played. And yeah, feel strong in that stance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds
You're
Jane.
unmuted.
I'd love to hear from you, Gabriel. Who are you coming out of all these trainings? I heard some legends, seen some photos. Have you got any money left after your pirate agreement of being, what was it, 100 euros if you weren't told to shut up 3 times in one day?
Yeah, so yeah, that was one of the many legends of the space. So yes, one time I had to pay 100 euro because only 2% said to shut up during the day, and I woke up really yelling all the time the second day. So very quickly, some people just told me to shut up, and it worked. So I learned to raise my voice and to really quickly go out of the swamp, because when I raised my voice, there was no place for bullshit. This is what I discovered. And I was sitting with a guy in front of me that come with this swampy energy during the lunch, and I was just yelling at him, but with love. And telling him, like, I don't want to be invited in a swampy table. And I just was like that with him, and actually was not really appreciating the way I was talking to him. But after 2 minutes after the breakfast, he told me, like, thank you, you really put me out, like you really shake me, because I was in the swamp. Yay.
And he told you to shut up?
No, this guy has a good boy box, and he didn't dare to tell me to shut up, but he wanted to tell me. That's the problem, because only with him I would not have to pay 100 euros. So that's why I told him, you know, if you would have speak, then I wouldn't have to pay. But you have this good boy box to, you know, that's why it takes.
So you owe me.
Boy box with swamp. Oh yeah, did he pay you the €100 then?
Yeah.
I know I could have asked him, but that was not a real agreement that I have with him. Yeah, and there's so much stuff that's been going on. I did for the second time a Gaian Game World consultation with Tamara during the fair. That was a big process also, and I particularly enjoyed it. Yes. Yeah, and I'm coming in a space with a lot of fear too. Like I could sense there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of time we took to get off of Lisbon with the car, and I was like wondering what's happening. Each time I want to plan this meeting with those guys and the Arcan permaculture context, I'm late. And I'm angry about that. And like I could sense I was pressuring myself in the car about that. And it was like, because there are many meetings I'm in, I'm not late. But for the Arcan permaculture meeting, it's like kind of a regular thing. So I just relax and just be with Echo at that time and what's happening, that whatever I do, it's kind of a recurring pattern. Don't ask me to pay €100 to be on time, please. That is my request for now.
Okay. €50.
Who got the €100?
It goes to the Women of Earth lab, Women of Earth team, actually. Yeah.
I wonder if you come here with some stories that you're telling yourself to this space.
I was
the fear. You
I
want to
was
share one?
One thing that I discovered is that it took me a lot more time that I think it takes me to be a space holder for this game world. For example, I've been writing and rewriting articles, and it takes me ages, like hours and hours to do that. And I can see the goal of it. Like I start to see what is unfolding. And the story that I have is that it takes more time than what I expect or what I plan. This is the first thing. And it's like maybe a pain of the game world builder that it takes that much time to unfold this game world. So, yeah.
What is so time consuming?
What I found out is like, I think, or I kind of have the project to write articles so that Arcan permaculture becomes more visible. And for me, each article is made of 3 articles. So I start with one article thinking that it will be the article, and at the end it is not. But the good news is that now I know that it takes 3 articles to make one.
It sounds like you have so much inspiration and so many things going on in your space that you want to bring into the world, in that to sort all this and really find the clarity of what you want to say takes some time.
Yeah, and it takes meetings. For example, we had an incredible meeting with Tamara, Katarina, and also Daniele during the Archiarchy Maker Fair. And we did this, hold the space for meeting with Gaia, meeting Gaia. That was the name of the space. And we went all together in the forest to let Gaia speak to us. And I got also more inspiration by doing that. So I miss also some kind of experimental things to really land the distinction in me more before writing, while I'm writing. So it's about practice, like repeated practices.
Yeah.
James Andrews, I have an impulse to ask you to offer some little gold from your discoveries around writing, because your writing inspires me every time I read it, and I'm curious to know where you come from, how you engage in the process, what that looks like.
I want to hear too.
Oh, yeah.
I have this voice. I just have all these voices in my head while I write, and it's just a matter of which one I listen to. And there's this is the sense. I get the sense that you have this too, Gabrielle, and maybe it's a common thing, but I just that there's this cacophony, there's this fucking racket behind me, and I'm this tiny hole, and it's coming out, you know, through my fingers or through my pen, depending on what I'm writing with, and I don't know, there's like the Derek Jensen thing was really useful that me and Gabrielle did, and that you're doing too, James. I understand, and but like some simple questions, like I'll stop myself, but man, I can just babble and babble and babble while I'm writing, and then it's questions like, what are you really trying to say? Like, what are you really saying? I can write 2 whole paragraphs, and I'll reread them and just be like, what am I really saying? And then like one sentence sometimes can be what I was really trying to say. And so, and my biggest thing is just to cut, like just to cut it to shreds, to be completely brutal with my own writing. And I feel a lot of fear when I like every time I give feedback on someone else's writing, it's almost always brutal. And I always feel fear about it. And yet it's still it's somehow it's what's needed. This sort of brutality, this real like extreme cleanliness and clarity, because like this communication, like what I'm really discovering this just recently, or rediscovering or something, but like communication for me is just such a like a what is it, like it's a nodal, a lot happens in communication, and it's really worth being careful about it, especially with written words, because they're so permanent. You know, what the way we speak now can easily come and go. I mean, unless it's recorded and put on YouTube forever or something, but still there's something different about the written word. It's more carved, you know, it's more shaped and refined, and you get back over it and over it and over it and check the layers of information that are coming through and energies that are coming through, and every single, like the thing that every single word has its own energy field on its own. And then you put 2 words together, and they have their individual energy fields and their collective energy field. And then you do that through a sentence, and you have all these overlapping energy fields that have all this information coming through them. And this is the level of creation that's happening when you're writing. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's some words.
I totally relate to the brutality. I started writing something yesterday. It was like an update for all the people who came to the Growing Radicals 3-day training, and to let them know what we're doing, moving into the Growing Radicals space holding for communication skills. And I wrote a whole bunch of stuff, and then I went back through it, and it was like fucking 2 paragraphs, and I went 2 sentences. Oh, that felt better. Like, I didn't need all of that other stuff. It wasn't necessary to the point that I wanted to communicate, the point that I wanted to get across. Only needed 2 sentences. It didn't need 2 paragraphs.
Mm.
It's like, ah,
But yeah, that reminds me of something else that is really up for me when I'm writing, is to really respect, like deeply respect the reader's attention and time and energy. And that every unnecessary word is me disregarding the reader's attention and time and energy.
I agree. So
Yeah.
hardly agree. Yeah. Thank you.
For me, it's also part of this process to just write these 2 paragraphs. So in the end, I have these 2 sentences of what I actually want to say, because it's this process. Sometimes it helps just to write and think I want to make an article, and maybe it might not be an article that I'm writing. It might be just a process of getting clarity for myself.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I want to share with you men something which happened yesterday, as Janet and I were driving to Cable Bay to go for a cold water swim, and we were thinking about this piece of land that we've been struggling to strategize around how to get the money back out of it. And she put into the space the possibility that we take it over. And she said, "What would you do with it?" And I just went, bang. We'd use it for annual 3-month retreats for building skills in syntropic agroforestry and social systems. Like, live in and create the context being the syntropic agroforestry and the underlying mechanism of learning proposal culture and expressing feelings and all the distinctions of possibility management, all woven into these 3-month events that would happen every year. I had so much, like, my body just like came alive with this. Wow. I'm going to make that happen somewhere, sometime.
So what do the people do for 3 months? Now you make it in like 3 days. What are you doing in 3 months?
We're going deep into into all the principles of syntropic agroforestry and learning to build communication bridges. Like, we're going deep into all of it. And over from 1 year to the next, to the next, to the next, there will be these installations. So every time a team come together, they do a new installation, but they also see what a 1 year and a 2 year and a 3 year installation look like, and they're involved in the process of caring for that, going in and doing the disturbance and seeing what's there, and so recording it and learning from it, in seeing the actual thing. We can expand it into game world building, expand it into, like, okay, like, what are you going to do when you leave here? What's your game world when you leave here? What are you going to create? And who are you going to create it with? And how is that going to look? And where? And like, we can expand it. There's not a problem.
I want to do the same.
Me too.
Hey.
That's cool. Hey, I'm feeling some fear about time and wanting to get into the CODEX.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Me too.
Let's go.
Would you hold space for
I
that, Gabriel?
propose that somebody shares the screen of the codex so we can all look at it and go through it together.
Yeah, I'm going there. Yes, there. Hope that sharing screen works. We'll see.
I don't know what the Lab for Men, how I look forward to hearing the legends from it. And for me, these gatherings with you men are so core to my life. There's such an important cornerstone in my life. And I'm so grateful for them. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you. Would you say more what makes them so special? Cornerstone.
Because they welcome all the feelings, and they're not just about feelings. They're about they're about game world building. They're about visioning, about practical things, about writing, about, it's like it's all of it. That's what makes them special.
It's a bit like a permaculture possibility team too.
Anyone wants to share its screen, open the dock and share screen. It doesn't work with my computer.
Okay.
I will share.
Yeah,
James, which one? Please do the resistance making before choosing. No, that's a joke.
I will share my screen. Any resistance?
No resistance.
Host is disabled participant screen sharing, it says.
Okay, I give you the host. Your host.
Okay. There we go.
The compost goes first.
Yeah, that's the
Straight
end.
to the compost pile.
Straight to that compost.
That's the best part.
Okay. How should we go through this? Perhaps whoever has worked on it most recently can guide us through it.
Yes.
Yeah, I propose Gabriel goes and that you share a bit of what's the process, the intention.
Yeah, there was two things. The first thing that came up about the writing is that there is an overlap between Gaia's incubator team, which for me is a sub-game world of Arc and Permaculture, and Arc and Permaculture. So there was an overlap of the two.
An overlap.
Like a mixture of the two. It's like, what is Gaia's incubator team for you? Like, for me, like I had the distinction it is a sub-game world, but I want to check with you.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that the name Gaia's incubator team doesn't work for me exactly because it creates that question, and that for me there was never any doubt. What creates that doubt, or it creates that unclarity, because for me it's really clear that it's the Arc and Permaculture Game World Incubator, which is a mouthful, but that's like somehow its full name. That could be referred to as the incubator in short, but if it had that as a full name, then there would be no need to have this conversation. and it would be super clear for anybody who was coming in or anybody who saw the incubator referred to somewhere.
Have you seen the map that I draw about the game world, Arcane Permaculture, and the different sub-game world that are in the Telegram group? Does it speak to you or not?
Yeah, I did see it. Was that the one that had the circle that was sort of circular?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems totally accurate to me.
Okay. So is there a block to consider that this, whatever it is named, Arcane Permaculture Incubator or Gaia's Incubator team is a sub-game world of the whole game world? Does it make sense?
Absolutely. No, there's no block. That's that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then we have clarity about the name and what is it.
Could you repeat that? I didn't get the clarity.
Yeah, the clarity is that James and Juice share that Gaia's incubator team is the Arcane Permaculture incubator part, and that it is also a sub-game world of Arcane Permaculture. Ah, yeah, cool. You put it here. Yes, cool.
Okay, so there's Arcane Permaculture, and then there's as a game world, and the sub game world is the Arcane Permaculture incubator team.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, got it.
The third thing that came out is that Gaia's incubator team, or like what we are doing, Arcane Permaculture incubator team, is a Gaian game world consultancy, because that's what we actually do when we meet. Like, we celebrate a lot, we shared a lot of things, a lot of tools, very chaotic, as James said. And it's mainly about game world consulting, like sharing the goal, the steps, and everything. So it came out for me that the offer for this sub game world is also Gaian game world consultancy for others, from people that are outside, because that's our specialty. So mainly that's all that I've written. So please cut off whatever needs to be composted from whatever thing that I've wrote. I think that you have the summary about that.
Okay. So we're proposing taking this name out and changing the name of the Telegram group to Arcane Permaculture Incubator Team as the overarching. Is that what I understood?
That was my proposal, yes.
It's your proposal. I have no resistance to that.
You have two. I propose incubator team because it's Arcane Permaculture team, incubator team.
Yes, here, Arcane Permaculture Incubator Team.
Yeah, so, but I propose in the Telegram group, it's just incubator team. That's more simple than, you know, having Arcane Permaculture everywhere.
Yeah. Because it's already a topic within Arcane Permaculture game world.
Exactly.
In that place, yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I've wrote something. Yeah. Maybe everyone can go whatever, because I wrote something that can be put on a website.
I want to know if this is ready to be dismissed, resolved.
Yeah, for me, yes.
Then here this is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. And well, we so what you did, Gabriel, is to kind of use that with James Andrews and I had worked on last time, and you kind of transformed a bit its layout, so it can go
Yes.
on the website and edit your parts that are important for you.
Yeah, so I've put it in an order that was more in a codex style. And there was like in this Orchiaki Maker Fair, no, it was the Radical Relating Lab game we're building, where we had this framework with what it is. So it starts with like the three first sentences, what it is, then you introduction, subject, and then you have purpose, services, and who is the circle? What is the circle? So it gives like four main different subjects.
Okay.
And that's a framework. So yes. So you have the old version below, but
Well, yeah,
for now, that's what I did.
The purposes are to distill the distinctions of Ark and permaculture game world to provide growing expansion of Archaearchy in the world, to offer game world consultancy for people to grow out a regenerative culture for Ark and projects on the land, such as bridge houses, Ark and communities, summer camps, Archaearchy invention centers. To train ourselves to create permanent conversation with Gaia through all five bodies, to create the ecosystems necessary so that all five bodies of human beings can get nourished. Be nourished.
Can be nourished, yes. Anything to add or remove? Actually, I put like some words that you put, Anton, that precise, I put them on the notes. So that's why I have little notes everywhere. I create shorter sentences and put what you've written in the notes so that
right.
can refer.
So that 3 refers to a note which has more detail. Is that what you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you starting with the American mantra?
So what I struggle with in the purpose is a sense of abstraction.
Yes. Would you say more?
If I was reading this completely with almost no knowledge whatsoever of possibility management or permaculture, I would struggle with reading this purpose and having a clear sense of what's your purpose? Like,
So what do you
guess,
propose? How do you propose to change it?
yeah, so I would love it to be a single sentence that gets to the nut. What's the nut of all of this? What's the gold in the center of all of this that could be stated in a single sentence?
Let's get
What are we
violent.
doing? Why are we here?
What about, I propose we all have a crack at writing a sentence, at writing that
Yeah,
sentence.
Great.
and then we
Thank
smash
you.
them together.
Yeah.
Lovely.
propose one more minute.
No resistance. My fears tell me to stop now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Already more than 1 minute. Thank you. Cool.
There are a lot of good things. Any hint on how to make all of this a sentence? Who has the impulse to do it?
Well, I have a hint, which is
Yeah.
that in my experience of doing this sort of thing, that a structure that can work really well is for a purpose statement, is for it to have a what, a how, and a why. And that the reason it works is because the what is like the head, is the sort of explanation. The how relates to the body and the hand, and the why relates to the heart. And if those three things are represented, then you have this sort of a sense of balance in the statement.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. The how grounds it in practicality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Great. Hmm. So the what? The what?
Well, what we do is we consult game worlds, and we also bring in what we have. It's game world, and it's game world and the game worlds of people.
Oh, game what consultation? Or what is the what? Or do you want to turn it in another way? Because I see personal transformation, growing out radically regenerative Gaian culture, land-based consultancy, space and creation and consulting.
So it's not just game world consultation, because game world consultation might be somebody who wants to set up a business making soaps or write or publishing books. The specifics are the arc and permaculture game world consultation.
And
It's
can
for
you say more?
regenerative. It's for regenerative game worlds that are, caring for the thriving of life on this planet.
Regenerative Regenerative game worlds that regenerate. I think I like, because regenerative game worlds puts a big question immediately, but if you say game worlds for regeneration of, for example, then it's like, oh, okay, game worlds for regeneration of.
Regeneration of.
Well, I've used the terminology of transformation of Earth and creation of a culture.
Works for me.
Yeah, so
So-
that gets into the. So then there's kind of two whats. So I would say the what would be the culture, the what is transforming culture, seems to me, and the how is by offering game world consultancy.
So it's like game world consultancy for regeneration.
So your point, James, is that the how is the consultancy.
That's how it lands for me. Yeah, that the big
Yeah, for
what.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the what is the creation of a culture that is for life, nurturing life, caring for life.
Yeah.
Where the piece that I wrote is more about the what, that I think it's like personal transformation in service to transformation of Earth and the creation of a culture.
And how. Sorry, and the last bit is the last little bit, culture where all living beings can thrive is your why.
Yes. Thank you.
And what other whys did people have? Oh, yours was very similar, Anton. And I want to say, I'm not sure. I just want to say something into this why. I just want to speak a little bit into this why space because I'm not sure if it'll be helpful or not, but it's just something that comes up for me. So I feel sad about there's this hope thing about how am I doing things just only if there's a hope that it's going to work. Like there's this question like what if we're fucked? Like what if it's all fucked, so fucked that there's just no point? And for me that's I'm not taking that as a real question because I don't really care. Like there's that for me that's a shadow trap or something. Like it's a gremlin game. Like somehow like whether it's gonna work or whether there's any point is like it's a gremlin question. And so if that's not the important question, then what is it? It's like I often think about, I think about why does there's a chicken sitting outside our back door sitting on eggs. She has no idea whether that's going to work, whether it's a good idea to bring like 12 little chicks into the world. She's just doing it because she's got no other. It's just what chickens do. And when a tree unfolds a leaf, it hasn't tested the atmosphere and checked out the global sort of state of the world as to whether or not this new branch is going to have a future. It just unfolds its branch because unfolding its branch is what it does, is what life does. So there's this imperative, like there's this imperative of aliveness that I feel like is operating in this space. Like we are life operating as through humans, and that somehow that is in my why. Does that make any sense? I'm a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm.
No, I'm getting a taste or a hint at it, and I hear you. It's like, yeah, creating a world where all living beings can thrive. Well, yeah, that's a great. Yeah, okay, maybe it will, maybe it won't. But why are we doing it?
So
It's like the
why
value is thriving.
there is thriving that I resonate with thriving?
It's like as a gift towards a thriving world. It's like we're giving, giving something
Yeah,
in
something like
case
that.
that can work.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. That's not a requirement that it's definitely going to work in order for us to try.
Mhm. Motivation for me to do all this is because I so much love the the ecosystems, the soil, the life, in and that's my motivation to do that. And
Mm.
I love to plant trees and see them growing and doing their thing. Yeah, and it's not so much about, okay, maybe one day somebody will cut the tree, but it's still this is because I just love to do it.
There is
Mm.
definitely a multi-dimensional purpose. For me, when I read the why, there is a gift towards inner and outer, alive, thriving world. The thing about also what we feel and what we witness outside. I don't know if it makes sense about what you just said in Lakesh. And also in the, I remember in the lab, we get to a purpose by having a quest ion. So what is the quest ion that leads to the purpose? What is the brick that we have in our belly that is heavy and that we want to attract the force of the universe so that we realize what we came here, what we are doing?
For me, it's because I see that as my culture, my the modern culture that I have lived in has become so separated from its part in the natural cycle of life that it is killing and destroying the life that sustains it, me, us.
So what's the question in that for you?
So how do I show what is possible in when I am aligned and connected and playing my part as nature in nature.
Huh. Yeah, that's really interesting because it's very similar to what just came up for me, which is something like, what's the human niche?
The more I think about this, it's like the more I think about being nat as nature in nature, like I feel sad and I feel angry when I see and hear people talk about the world would be better off without us and da, 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 da. It's like you're missing something. Like, no, we have a place, and our place is to be a vehicle of 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 Not just restoration, because restoration implies that it's all needs restoring. But we have we have a really important place and a part to play to to maximize the potential of the natural systems to grow and emerge and to thrive and be in their fullness that we can benefit from, as can all living beings. So my why is what is my the question is, how do I show this? How do I show this so that people go, oh, oh, I get it. Like to see it, to feel it, to experience it. And that's the driving force behind this whole idea of a 3-month live-in cultural experience.
Just I feel fear about this. There's a dynamic in the second part of your speaking, James, where you started with a question and you
Yep.
answered your question. You partially answered your question, and then and then you had another question, which is how how can I help support other people to see my answer to the question? And so my fear is that then that's not such a it's not such a pregnant question. It's not such a fertile question. That the original question, supporting people to sense into the original question, is where the fertility lies.
How can I support people to see themselves as nature in nature?
Yeah.
Have the full sentence. Can someone write it? How can I support people to see themselves? Yes.
Yeah. See and experience.
It bring this, what you say, James, brings for me this question. Okay, what is the nature of human beings? Is nature of human beings to consume and to have things like this, and to make plastic and drive cars?
I feel fear a bit that we are turning around the gremlin question in how we are saying. It's like as if we have an impulse, or I sense an impulse, and then we cut it from, oh, but there is the gremlin. So is there a necessity to name the gremlin? Or to name something that can unfold what we are saying without, cutting our impulses?
Can you be even more? I don't get it. Can you be more specific?
Yeah. I have something like, how can we help us recalibrate ourselves so that we are aligned with nature and or true nature? This is my quest, Ian.
Or yeah, aligned with life.
Yeah. I feel fear about the time, and I still want to hear from you, Anton and James, about the quest iron. Are you up to have 15 more minutes?
I am.
I am not. I will leave soon. You can just keep going.
I can spend more time. So do you want to go first, Anton, if you have to go?
Yeah, I go first. Yeah, my quest iron is also very similar to what James brought. Like, or how can I be the bridge for people to relate with nature and get in contact with nature and relate to ecosystem, natural system. And so I see that people so alienated from nature, and how can I be there for people to get in relation to to the natural ecosystems around them. And be a supportive part of this ecosystem that people live in.
Sorry, Anton, I didn't think to take notes until right near the end. Would you say what you said at the start again?
Yeah. So my quest iron is like, how can I be a bridge for people to be a supportive part of the ecosystem that they are living in?
A bridge so they can be a supportive part of the ecosystem. Yeah.
There's something about this which is actually true for yours as well, James. I'm just noticing that there's this bit at the front. How can I be a bridge for? In some ways, it's a second question, and the first question is like the core question is something like, what is a supportive? Like, how can
what is
ecosystems be
being supportive to the ecosystem?
Yeah, because
that's an investigation question.
Yeah, what is ecosystem support or something like that? Like that's the core question as it stands. And then, and for you, James, it's a bit the same. It's how can I support? So your question is, what is the experience of a human? Like, what is it for a human to experience themselves as nature? Yeah. Is that your question, Anton? What is ecosystem support?
Yeah, that's one of my questions. Yeah, that's actually what I do when I create the syntropic agroforestry systems, is to see if it brings more abundance, more life, more soil, more fertility into the ecosystem.
Right. So it's like, what is ecosystemic aliveness or something? and how can you support it?
Yeah, how can I be part of this ecosystem? Yeah. So really thrives. I thrive in the ecosystem too.
What is ecosystemic aliveness, and how can I support it and thrive with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
There is a practice that keep coming in, which is a practice of starting with 5 how. Like we have the first how somehow, because many of our quest iron start with how. And to go a layer deeper and asking 5 times how. Like how rarely you do that from the quest iron you distilled. And it's a bit what James has started to do. And it's called the clarity process. It's not from PM, but I heard that from another guy who was holding space for clarity. Clarity process. So my proposal would be to do that.
To answer 5 how, give 5
Yes.
possibilities. Okay.
It's like, how do you, like, for example, what is, for your question, what is ecosystemic aliveness and how can I support it and thrive with it? I will ask you how. How can you support it and thrive with it? How? And then you answer.
Uh-huh. I will take this question with me now, and I will write a bit about it in the chat and check out now.
Yes.
Thank you, Anton.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anton.
Hasta luego.
Thank you, Anton.
What do you think and feel about my proposal? You want to go there?
So say again.
What do you think and feel about my proposal about questioning and re-questioning?
It feels like I feel fear that it's a detour from the work on the codex, and maybe it's not. I don't know, maybe it's a deepening of the work on the codex. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. James, Samuel, you had something, no?
I know this. I know that the 5 whys in relation to a statement, and I understand that process of deepening. I'm not sure if it works in the how, but maybe it does. I was curious to see if it would. Okay.
It's just that we started with a lot of question with how in the purpose. And it really get to my mind that I had this process before with Christopher Trotman that holds space for that. That does it, like, and it really works with 5 how, and then you go afterwards to the 5 whys, but only before you go to the 5 how.
Okay. So ask a question in relation to this, and I'll see what I can do about answering it.
Yes. So how does it look and feel when we live and experience ourselves in nature as nature? Then how? How do you do that? How do we live and experience ourselves in nature as nature?
By creating systems that support healthy human life.
And how you do that?
By creating and living amongst and working with.
And how do you do that? How you create systems that support healthy human life?
By finding the means for creating abundance without requiring external inputs.
And how you find the means for creating abundance without requiring external inputs?
Research and experimentation.
How do you research and experiment?
Spending time on land with people who have some experience at that and learn from and build on their knowledge and experience.
Did it work for you? I think we got to the 5 why.
Yeah.
5 how.
Yeah. It's a deepening and clarification of the living and experiencing ourselves in nature as nature. Yes. It makes it tangible. It gives it concreteness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it provides a path, like one possible path.
Yeah.
You want to do it for me, James Andrews, asking me the question?
Yeah, and so are you happy with your, which one was your question?
I think
The
it was how we recalibrate.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, how can we recalibrate so that we are aligned with nature and life? How will you do that, Gabriel?
By going through initiatory processes to be real adults that are able to nourish their 5 bodies.
How will you go through those initiatory processes to become an adult and nourish 5 bodies?
By gathering teams all around the world and creating I have the word, I don't have the word. By creating spaces where inner and outer aliveness flow.
And how will you do that? How will you gather teams around the world and create spaces where inner and outer aliveness flows?
And we'll start by Arcan permaculture possibility teams that get the hand on the ground and on their beings.
And how will you start Arc and Possibility teams to get their hands on the ground and on their beings?
Hmm. By sharing to the world what is Arcan permaculture and the option it provides to create a thriving life.
How are you going to do that? Share to the world what Arc and Permaculture is and the option it provides to create a thriving life. This is your last how.
By any means I could find to transmit the force of life.
Such as?
That goes beyond any how to say that. Yeah, such as such as Gaia. I have hope in action. Yeah. And also like the willingness to serve a better future.
Thank you. How was that?
I kind of sense like there's fear and anger in my system about it. That it's so delicate to go in that space.
To be in the space of answering the how question.
Yes. And yeah, and I have some clarity about force of life, like this kind of coming to the essential of the being and in the connection to the earth.
My feedback is that the last answer became more abstract, where the others were becoming more concrete. Something shifted.
Yeah, you're right. I shift into the meta. I think the first thing that I had was like by writing. And it's actually what I'm doing. So
yeah, exactly. So I was waiting for you to say that. And then you went into something way I couldn't quite get my teeth into.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's funny you say that because as I asked the question, I imagined the answer was writing too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so it's by writings. By writing to transmit the force of life, such as Gaia and hope in action and the willingness to serve a better future beyond any resistance, I would say. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's what I have for now.
Yeah. I some feedback on my own, like the feedback on myself. Like when I said that this is your last how, my sense is that affected your answer by like this is your last chance. You better like cover everything possible.
Exactly.
Yes.
I get that.
Yes. Good noticing. Hmm. Where's your
Yeah.
question, Jim?
I haven't written it there. My question
Okay.
is,
Yeah,
I'll
what's your
I'll put
question?
it in between you two. My question is, yeah, it's like, what are we for? My question is, what are we for? Like, what are humans for?
What are humans for?
Humans for?
And how do you discover that?
You talk, I'll write.
Yeah, thank you. I discovered that
Okay.
by holding this curiosity and talking and like interacting with as many people with as many different answers to that question as possible.
How do you handle the many different people and answer as possible?
Would you ask again?
Yeah. How hmm, how do you hold this curiosity and talking with and interacting with as many different people and answer?
Yeah, I hold the curiosity by something like by being. It's not like it's not passive curiosity. It's not like watching TV to see what happens at the end of the movie. It's like it's more like the kind of curiosity that killed the cat. It's
I'm going to ask it again. How
yeah,
you hold this curiosity and talking and interacting with as many different people and answer as possible. And you start by being actively something.
yeah, but actively curious um and actually processing, testing, like testing possibilities, actually trying things out, like experimenting.
Yeah. And how do you try things out? How do you experiment?
By holding space for other for groups, for people to experiment. Like, it's not just me experimenting, but to hold space for experimental explorations.
Experimental exploration. How do you hold space for experimental exploration?
By it's just, I want to use the same trick you use, by any way I can, but
How
by
precisely then? How precisely you do that?
yeah, it, like by holding space for this at all scales, like for actually hijacking all of my interactions, like daily interactions, and inviting people into micro experiments and hijacking whatever space I'm in and putting it to my purpose, to my question, as well as creating dedicated spaces with this as the stated purpose.
Is the word jacking or hijacking? I don't get it.
Hijacking is when someone
Yeah, I got that.
yeah.
And how do you hijack daily interactions?
Well, yeah, I almost feel like by holding curiosity. It's by. This gets right to the core of it, because this is exactly what I don't do. Is like actually to really honor my own question, to honor my own question.
Yeah. I feel joy about you saying that. Joy and sadness.
So how do you do it? How can you do it?
How can I honor my own question?
Yeah. How can you hijack daily interactions for your quest, Ion?
This is my answer: by honoring my own question. Because this is what I do not do. I forget my own question.
Very
I
good.
forget my purpose, and then I can't hijack anything, because I wouldn't have a purpose. I wouldn't have a destination to take the plane once I'd taken it over.
There is something I want to tell at that point, is that I have a good news and a bad news from this process. The good news is that we discover our own purpose, or real deep purpose in what we are working on this team, meaning like the meta level. We went on the meta level. The bad news is that we didn't really wrote something today. I mean, we wrote a bunch of things, but didn't clarify the purpose yet.
No.
Yeah.
That's okay, because
I'm okay with it too.
It's such an important piece to get clear, so that we can hold and honor the question. Yeah. Thank you.
I feel a lot of joy about this space. This is like, these are the sorts of conversations I love.
Right.
It's been a while since I've had one of these purpose kind of conversations. I used to have a lot of them, and it's a great little reminder.
I'm very grateful for this, for myself personally, getting clarity about what I'm standing for and the question that I'm holding. Yeah. Yeah.
And as a, like, this is, okay, there's another layer of what we're doing, is that this is part of game world building, right? Like, in a way, a world is a game world holds a quest iron as well. And to really clearly distill that question is
definitely. I love that. Yes.
So in a way, we're our own sort of test clients. Like our own game world is a test client.
Yeah.
And
That's what we wrote also before.
Yeah.
I feel joy. There's a lot of clarity in that for me. And I sense I'm coming to the limit. I want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep going, please go. But I'm going to sleep now.
Good. Enjoy
Well done,
your
well
rest.
Do you want me
Okay.
to let the room open or
No.
where do you go? Okay.
Don't let the
See you
vampires.
guys.
Yeah.
What?
Don't let the vampires bite.
No, I
Okay.
won't.
Good. Good night.
Ciao.